Can we cancel Republicans trying to distract the American people by complaining about cancel culture? Media Matters' Parker Molloy joins us to discuss the issue. Check it out. Leave your comments, ding the bell, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. I mentioned how right-wing media from the Writing newsletter, right-wing media is going after Meghan Markle now as, oh, she's a left-winger, therefore, you know, bloody. I mean, it's just, this is crazy stuff. The racism and misogyny that is on display is absolutely breathtaking. Oh, by the way, I also mentioned very quickly, I just want to get this out. The CDC has released new guidelines. If you have been vaccinated and you've got your second dose and it's been more than 2 weeks since the second dose, then unless you're dealing with people who are in high-risk categories, you can get together with people again. I mean, you know, life can begin to get back to normal. We'll dig into that in a little more detail, but how the right-wing media is dealing with this so-called cancel culture and all these culture wars that, in my opinion, are attempts to distract us from their real agenda, which is robbing the middle class blind and making rich people richer. The real experts on this over at MediaMatters.org. I mean, they track Fox News and other right-wing media like nobody's business. And Parker Molloy is the editor-at-large over at Media Matters. Parker is on the line with us. At Parker Molloy is Molloy is her Twitter handle, and MediaMatters.org, of course, is the website. Parker, great talking with you. What's the latest on the Dr. Seuss, Mr. Potato Head? What's going on over there?
Oh, we are entering, what is it, week 3 now of pretty much wall-to-wall cancel culture coverage. It's been interesting. This morning there were stories about Pepe Le Pew, the skunk from Looney Tunes, being canceled, and Speedy Gonzalez. It's a whole. They could devote a channel to it. It could be Fox News, Fox Business, and Fox cancel culture at this point.
Wow.
But last week was the Dr. Seuss extravaganza, essentially.
Right. Here's what baffles me. Every single Republican in the House and Senate just voted to cancel the minimum wage, to cancel an increase in our unemployment benefits, to cancel a $1,400 check, to cancel aid to states so that they can keep schools and fire departments and police departments going, to cancel. I mean, it's like there's real canceling going on being done by Republicans. Greg Abbott canceled the mask mandate, as did Reeves, I guess his name is, down in Mississippi, the governor there. Are those real cancellations and real efforts to stop any kind of forward movement in America that are being done by the Republican Party? Is that why Fox News and other right-wing media, it's all over right-wing hate radio as well, are so hysterical about this stuff? Why they're promoting this cancel culture thing?
Well, one thing I wrote about in my recent piece over at Media Matters is the fact that things seem to be going well for Joe Biden and his agenda so far. And I have a feeling that if COVID cases were on the rise, if the vaccine rollout wasn't going well, if the COVID relief bill was struggling to make its way through Congress, I feel like they would be devoting more coverage to that. But that hasn't really been the case. So they're really reaching back into this, you know, they're playing the hits. I mean, when in doubt, create a moral panic. And that's what the whole cancel culture kind of
this is just reinvention of the war on Christmas, isn't it? Now Bill O'Reilly's go-to thing for a decade. Exactly.
War on Christmas, political correctness, call-out culture, cancel culture. It's all the same thing. It's all this phony outrage over nothing. And, you know, I recently wrote about, you know, all of the different ways that, you know, people on the right have done exactly the thing that they're complaining about. I mean, you could go through ABC, Acorn, the Beatles, Campbell's Soup. It's just, there have been protests of all sorts of things for not sticking close to the conservative point of view when it comes to cultural issues. And I think that that's what's interesting and kind of scary is the fact that they were really going all in on culture war issues. I was looking at the front pages of the Federalist, the National Review, Daily Caller, Daily Wire, all the dailies, looking at those, and there wasn't really much talk about the stimulus bill. And you would think that ordinarily Republicans would be yelling, $1.9 trillion, what about the budget? What about the deficit? That would have been the right-wing talking point. But they're just not covering these things at all. Or when they are, they're trying to, again, tie it back into cultural issues. They don't want funds to go to people in prison, and they're fear-mongering over people who are undocumented getting payments when that's just not the case in the bill. It's really, I think it's telling about where the conservative movement's kind of headed, and it's not one of serious governance. It does seem to be more, stoking moral panic and trying to convince people that their way of life is being driven from public, where every day something that you love can be taken away by someone on the left who just decides it's not good anymore. And we saw that with the Dr. Seuss stuff. They covered it nonstop for the whole week, and for the most part, when they were talking about this, because the Dr. Seuss Enterprises, who owns the rights to all the Dr. Seuss books, decided to stop printing six of the lesser-known books. And when Fox was covering this, they were covering it as though the main issue was that they were trying to drive Dr. Seuss out of public life and showing pictures of the Cat in the Hat and books that were not being removed. And they tried to tie this into Joe Biden not mentioning Dr. Seuss in his Read Across America proclamation when Donald Trump didn't issue a Read Across America proclamation in 2017. So they acted like it was this big sacred tradition to call out Dr. Seuss in a positive way when Trump himself didn't do it in his first year in office.
We have about a minute and a half before we're going to hit a hard break. I saw this study that Lauren Boebert, who, the newbie Republican congresswoman from Colorado, who basically just talks about guns and shows pictures of guns, is actually rising in popularity among her base because of that. It seems to me that this idea that somebody wants to take away your way of life might be a hell of a lot more potent than somebody wants to take away your $300 stimulus check. Is it possible or even probable that the GOP is onto something here and that this is how they're going to win elections, that this is this generation's version of the old Willie Horton ads?
Well, I mean, it's entirely possible. I mean, was that in North Carolina, Madison Cawthorn? He had some sort of statement where he was saying that he staffed his staff is focused on communication, not legislation, and I think that was a really interesting way to kind of look at things, and it's something that I think that people.
So if that's the case, how do Democrats respond to that?
Yeah, well, I think that the way you respond to that is I don't know the specific answer, but I think that you just have to call out how ridiculous it is. Say they are focused on this, we are focused on these things that will materially help your lives, and that I think has to be a focus of the progressive left.
Yeah. It seems also that at some point it should be pointed out that it was a family foundation that decided to take out the Seuss books, and that decision was made last year when Trump was president, and that Hasbro made the decision last year to make Potato Head. Well, anyway, it's just like they're also lying.